This item comes from The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, Volume 5, by Edward Gibbon, Chapter 51, Conquests by the Arabs, Part 4. The province of Mauritania Tingitana, which assumed the name of the capital, had been imperfectly discovered and settled by the Romans. The 5 colonies were confined to a narrow pale, and the more southern parts were seldom explored except by the agents of luxury, who searched the forests for ivory and the citron wood, and the shores of the ocean for the purple shellfish. The fearless Akbah plunged into the heart of the country, traversed the wilderness, in which his successors erected the splendid capitals of the Fez and Morocco, and at length penetrated to the verge of the Atlantic and the great desert. The river Sus descends from the western sides of Mount Atlas, fertilizes, like the Nile, the adjacent soil, and falls into the sea at a moderate distance from the Canary, or adjacent islands. Its banks were inhabited by the last of the Moors, a race of savages without law or discipline or religion. They were astonished by the strange and irresistible terrors of the Oriental arms, and as they possessed neither gold nor silver, the richest spoils was the beauty of the female captives, some of whom were afterwards sold for 1,000 pieces of silver. The career, though not the zeal of Akbah, was checked by the prospect of a boundless ocean. He spurred his horse into the waves and raised his eyes to heaven, exclaimed with the tone of a fanatic, "Great God, if my course were not stopped by the sea, I would still go on, to the unknown kingdoms of the West, preaching the unity of thy holy name, and putting to the sword the rebellious nations who worship other gods than thee." Interesting. So this was about 700 AD. So how did Edward Gibbon know that that's what Akbah rode his horse into the ocean and said? Was there a scribe there to listen to it? Is that fake news? We do get the point, though. And since this was 700 AD about, I am sure that the Incas, the Aztecs, and the Mayans would have appreciated a little heads up from Akbah what was going to come across the ocean about 800 years later.